Hey everyone, good evening. It's Alex of Coyote Star Astrology, and this is my new moon in Cancer solar eclipse video for June 20th, 2020. If you're on Pacific Standard Time, you may need to adjust depending on where you are currently located on the planet. I actually had no plans to film tonight, but I took a walk and I was feeling inspired, so I decided to make myself a cup of tea and see what wanted to come through. And there is a lot coming through. There is a lot coming down the pipes for a lot of people right now. And we're in this eclipse portal. We just had an eclipse, and then we have this one coming in on the 20th. This is a solar eclipse in Cancer, and Cancer deals with our emotions. Cancer deals with the way that we feel. And this eclipse is pretty unique for a couple different reasons. First of all, eclipses are always unique. They're sort of unpredictable by nature. They tend to break patterns and shift dynamics and can sometimes send us in a completely different direction or bring in some kind of event or insight that really sort of, like we talked about in the last video, shows us where we're at. And eclipses can have this unique way of redirecting us exactly to where we need to be. So it is powerful energy, and they do tend to be these important keynotes or chapters in the story. However, this eclipse is also special because it's a new moon, which of course deals with new beginnings, a fresh slate, a clearance of energy, and it's also at 0 degrees Cancer. When we start in the first degrees of a new sign, there's more potency around that archetype's message. It's like, we are here, we have arrived, we are out of Gemini, I am Cancer, this is my message. Every archetype has a lesson, and when we're in the first degrees of an archetype, it is stronger. Also, this eclipse is at the North Node in Gemini. So the North Node is about the collective future. It's about our own future. It's about leaving the past behind. It's about our own evolution. And when the North Node is in Gemini, it's about being experimental about this future, which is very interesting when you combine it with Cancer, which often deals with a desire to feel secure, which is not something that we traditionally associate with being experimental and trying new things. So I feel like it's an interesting combination of those two themes. Perhaps learning how to feel secure in an environment or a world that feels very new. Learning how to authentically, emotionally show up in new situations that may feel quite foreign. And the ruler of this eclipse is the moon. The moon rules Cancer. The moon changes a sign more than any other planetary body in our solar system, every 2.5 days. So this is why Cancer is associated with emotional fluctuations, or it's often, people often call Cancers moody, because they're ruled by the moon. They're connected to the moon and the lunar phases and the cycles and these fluctuations in feeling. So Cancer deals with our connection to the way that we feel. It rules the feminine side, the feminine principle, the part of us that is soft and wants to feel safe and protected from the outside world, from the elements. It also rules the past and the way that we feel about the past. It rules our memories and our childhood and our family and the emotions that we have tied to connections to our family. That extreme love and closeness, or the emotions that we feel about not having that love and closeness with our family members and the ones that we love. And the pain and the wounding and the hurt around all of those different family dynamics and things that happened long ago. Not only in our own childhood, but in the emotions that are connected to our mother and her pain and her mother's pain and our ancestry, our family ancestry, our roots, and just how we feel about everything. I've been taking these incredible walks right around the magic hour, right around sunset with my dog. Some of you may know that I moved back to the mountains of Southern California, and I've been taking these incredible sunset walks. And I was thinking tonight on my walk that it really felt like the essence of Cancer, because there's something so nostalgic about that time, especially in the summer for some reason. Although I guess winter has its own type of nostalgia. But yeah, that time of day, there's so many different fragrances and different sounds. And there's something a little bit melancholy about it, I think, because the sun is setting and sunsets have to do with endings, right? It's a closing of its own kind of cycle. Sun rises in the morning and at night it sets. It goes away. And I think that just brings up time in general. And so I've been taking these walks, and all the different plants and flowers that have been baking in the sun all day, they release their fragrances really strongly around that time. And colors seem to come out a bit more. They seem to stand out a bit more, and all of the different fragrances evoke so many different feelings and invoke memories. You know, if it's the smell of somebody who just cut their grass, mowed the lawn, or somebody having a barbecue, or I passed by a house, somebody was doing their laundry, and that smell of like detergent was in the air. That reminds me of when my mom used to do laundry when I was little. And, you know, just the sound of kids playing, or somebody was practicing the guitar somewhere and they were plugged into an amp. So there was this really beautiful, like, psychedelic guitar kind of floating ambiently in the canyon. And I felt like every 20 feet I had like a new memory of a time or a person. And, you know, even when these memories are beautiful, they can make you quite emotional when you get in that nostalgic place. And even the memory of someone that you deeply love, you can suddenly find yourself having a lump in your throat. And maybe you even cry on certain days if it's the right day and the right time. It's kind of like hearing a song that you haven't heard in a really long time. That, to me, is the essence of Cancer. It deals with the emotions of the heart that are connected to the past and connected to our attachments. And so having this moon in Cancer with the North Node, which is about the future and so much being uncertain, I feel like it really has to do with that. The way that each of us individually is truly, authentically, vulnerably feeling about the uncertainty and the adventure that we find ourselves in currently. Which brings me to really one of the only aspects that this eclipse is making, which is an inconjunct to the planet Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius up there. So Saturn is at 0 degrees. The moon and the sun are at 0 degrees. So they're having a conversation. But it's an inconjunct. And an inconjunct is two energies or two archetypes that really don't understand each other. They're not really getting along. And an inconjunct requires growth and awareness and usually some kind of adjustment in an approach. So let's look at these two archetypes and figure out, why don't they understand each other? What's going on here? So Saturn deals with our commitments. It deals with things that we work hard on. It deals with the long term and it deals with responsibility. Things like our career or obligations that we have right now, things that we're working really hard on. And Saturn is in Aquarius, which has to do with the collective. It has to do with the future. It has to do with humanity at large, the human race. And this makes sense. A lot of us have been very much focused on where the hell is humanity going? Like, are we going to be okay? What the hell is going on with the human race, right? Like, that has been something we have been seriously contemplating, as well as coming together to hopefully find and restore justice. Though we haven't quite gotten there yet, but there are moves being made, big moves, right? But Saturn in Aquarius is a bit cold. It's a little frosty. Aquarius is non-emotional. It's a bit stiff. It's a bit detached. And again, it's dealt with the collective. It's not so much concerned with the needs or emotions of the individual. Whereas conversely, Cancer, the sun and the moon in Cancer is about exactly that. The private emotional self and emotional needs of the individual, the feelings of the individual, connection, the home, wanting to feel safe. So you can see how these two are very, they're just in different universes. So what does it mean to have Saturn in Aquarius in conjunct our new moon? Well, to me, this could manifest as kind of having to see or feel, and this could be a very good thing, where we have become a little bit too Saturn in Aquarius lately, perhaps at the detriment of our emotional, spiritual, physical well-being. And this eclipse serving as a guidance to remember that we must fill our own cup before we can be of any great service to the collective sustainably, right? Cancer deals with our emotional needs. It's our roots. It's our foundation. It's where we lay our body to rest at the end of the day. It's how we nourish ourselves. And trust me, we've got a lot of Saturn and Aquarius up ahead. There's plenty of time. And for some people, this may be a moment of realization that our true emotional desires or feelings are actually out of alignment with something for the long term, and we need to recalibrate and get a little bit more real, a little bit more authentic, and connect back to our heart song, back to what we really feel. Because maybe some of us have been a little bit too much in survival mode, which is very fight or flight. It's a little bit automatic. It's high strung. Nervous system a bit frazzled, and getting back to that soft, sweet honey of Cancer. Cancer is the womb. It's warm. It's soft. It deals with our sense of safety and nourishment, and Saturn, in comparison, is like a blizzard. It's harsh, it's cold, it's detached. So this eclipse can be bringing us back to where have we become detached? Where have we shut ourselves out in the cold? And how can we return to our true needs by feeling what those needs are? And very important, we have Venus going direct, not during this eclipse, but about 4 days later. So during this eclipse, she's at 5 degrees Gemini. She will go direct at 5 degrees Gemini. So she's basically at a standstill during this eclipse. And whenever a planet moves direct, all of the energy of that retrograde course, like a slingshot, is getting ready to move forward. We're about to get that green light. Thank God, hallelujah, we have made it to the end of this Venus retrograde. Let's just be honest, it's been a bit of a nightmare, particularly for some relationships, because Venus has been in Gemini, which has a hard time discerning the truth. It can get very mentally confused with what is real and what isn't. And to make matters worse, Venus has been in square to Neptune, the Lord of illusion. So give yourself a pat on the back. I know that many of us have learned a lot, and you may start to see around this eclipse some of the questions or confusion or whatever has been stirred up from the bottom during this transit of Venus retrograde over the last several weeks start to come to their conclusion, start to come to their moment of realization, start to have those conversations. And thankfully, because of this Cancer energy, perhaps being able to do so from a place of emotional sensitivity and authenticity, and hopefully compassion. That is one of Cancer's best qualities, is compassion. Cancerians, they're those type of people where you'll be telling a story that, you don't think would mean anything to anyone. And the person you're telling, if they have a lot of Cancer in their chart, suddenly you realize that their eyes are brimming with tears and they're like feeling everything that you're saying. They're having an emotional, empathic response to what you have been going through. So this can be a moment where we can be feeling other people where they're at and showing up compassionately to situations that during the Venus retrograde may have been so mentally confusing that we got a little bit detached from our true heart space. And there might be a little bit of an emotional process. There might be some tears shed. There might be a moment where we do need to process some things around that transit, which again, she will go direct on the 24th. Also, we have Mercury retrograde. Now, I'm not going to do a video about this Mercury retrograde because I don't feel like we really need to. It's only a couple weeks. It's only a few weeks. But I'll give you the deets here. So we have been in the Mercury retrograde shadow since the 1st of June. Mercury goes retrograde on the 18th of June and will go direct on July 12th. So it's not too bad, and I'll just briefly discuss it. I mean, same type of deal. Mercury's going retrograde in the sign of Cancer. This can be issues around family dynamics. This is the archetype of the mother. It's, of course, the past, nostalgia, emotions, things at home. A lot of people seeing things at home come up, right? Where they live, roommates. And I want to give you guys this important date regarding this transit, which is June 30th, July 1st, because we have Mercury and the Sun conjunct. For those of you that watched me, you know that this can be a day of clarity when we have the Sun conjunct any retrograde planet. This is symbolically the light of the Sun illuminating whatever the retrograde is bringing up for you. So tune in on the 30th and the 1st and see see what comes up. You may have a moment of clarity or understanding regarding the retrograde. So yes, you guys, wild, wild times. This eclipse does seem a bit emotional, but at the same time, recognizing that an opportunity to get vulnerable is an opportunity to actually feel how we are really doing, and an opportunity to channel the Divine Mother energy, which is so sweet and loving and compassionate in a world that feels suddenly a bit harsh. You may find that your interaction with your loved ones during this eclipse may feel a bit tender, and allowing for that and receiving that medicine if that is what comes through. And I'm sending you guys so much love and wishing you a magical eclipse where you can hopefully reconnect with what's really real for you. And meet people where they're at in their real. Thank you guys so much. If you would like to reach out to me for a reading, I will put my website up there on the screen. It is coyotestarastrology.com. And I also want to link you to my Instagram. I'll put that up on the screen as well. Make sure to check out my stories. I do a lot of astrology in my Instagram stories. And if you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and a share. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.